we have a wide dichotomy of people that come through, all ages, all backgrounds. It's amazing to see this melting pot of people that come through. A lot of the adults come in and they're looking for something that either reminds them of their childhood or something they wanted to do as a child. If you never grow up, you'll stay young forever, right?
Thank you for listening to the Guys Who Do Stuff podcast. Visit guyswhodostuff.com. You probably shouldn't Google that.
All right, welcome to the Guys Who Do Stuff podcast. I'm Joe.
I'm Josh.
And today on the show, we're very excited to welcome business owner Bryan Powers. How you doing, Bryan?
Doing well.
Can you tell us a little bit about your business?
I run a retail hobby store, more of there are a lot of game stores and some RC stores in the area. We kind of do everything. So we have games, we have remote controlled vehicles. We do a lot with drones, and that seems to be the most popular thing these days is drones.
Josh was telling me you're a DJI rep.
Well, no, we carry DJIs. We're not an official DJI rep, but we do stock DJI product.
If you're not familiar with DJI, they're a company that makes the drones that you see all the footage floating around from online. You can get really quality film footage from these drones. They're not cheap, but they're good. And the last place I worked, we had one. I never flew it because I didn't want to crash it. But these things are getting so much smarter. Like the one we had, it had a one button to press it and it would take off and it would morph into its flying shape. So the camera would drop down and it'll return to the Inspire. It'll return to where you left off if the battery's going to die, all kinds of little stuff. But I thought, I could crash that.
You have to work at it, but you can crash anything. But you do have to really try.
I got one funny drone or helicopter story. We went to a thing out in Vegas, and there was a guy the last day selling these helicopters, RC helicopters, for $300. And we were like, let's just pool our money and get one of these things. And we tried our best to learn how to fly that thing. And we would fly it for 6 seconds and crash it into something. Or we almost took Bill's thumb off with it. A guy I worked with, we crashed it into the side of the building. We were flying down the hallways, and it was very tough to get a hang of how to fly the thing. And we got maybe good enough to fly it for 13 seconds, but it was one of those fully manual control, not a lot of gyroscopes and all the cool new stuff that they got into the new ones. And I believe when we crashed it, every time we would break it, and then we went to your shop to get repair stuff.
Oh yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. I bought, I think 4 drones from Bryan and loved every one. I really loved the customer service experience there as well.
Yeah.
And it's boutique-ish. And my drone story is I said, hey, buddy of mine with the daughter, let me fly my tiny little drone in your house to show you how good of a pilot I am. And where did it go? Right into my buddy's daughter's hair.
Yeah, those little Christmas present drones, that 90% of them end up in some little girl's Christmas morning hairdo.
As soon as the air conditioner comes on, it's totally taking its own course, right?
Yeah, man.
But your shop is really special. It's really special. I was telling Joe this morning how I discovered it on my bicycle and how I went in there over time and brought people there, and how I was always excited to see you there and your team. So just real passion place.
Which I think is really cool that you guys have been in business for 10 years here in Cary. And in an environment where I looked up some of the numbers, I was just doing some research. The hobby industry is huge and growing. I thought it might be shrinking because of, I don't know, technology and people playing games on their phone, but I was wrong. But if you look at the stats, and who knows which ones to believe, there's all kinds of them about small business failure rates, but it's 30% of businesses fail in the first 2 years. 50% of small businesses fail in the first 5 years, and 60% during the first 10 years. And you've already made it 10 years in Cary. Really, what have you found to be the keys to success for running a brick and mortar business in an Amazon age, selling stuff that's classic Americana? You should put together hobbies and do stuff.
Right. Yeah. Everyone that comes through the door, you treat them like family. They're everybody comes in, even if they're just looking around, if they have something that even if they bring in something that we don't sell, we're going to try and fix it, make that person happy because they'll come back later.
Yeah.
So, we give them an very honest opinion of what they've got and what can be done, what to expect from it. And just, making sure that when somebody leaves, they're happy with their visit, because they'll come back and they'll tell other people. So we get a lot of word of mouth folks that come in from that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've been in Cary then your whole life?
Yes. Yeah.
You're one of the few.
One of the few. Yes.
You remember Kildare Farm, right? Not
I
just
do.
Kildare
I
Farm,
remember
right?
the farm, the shopping center that we're in now. I remember when that was just a field.
You were just a boy cow tipping when that place was a field,
I
right?
used to ride stables. The horse stables I rode in was behind where the Walgreens is across the street from us. So
Wow.
Do you still ride a horse to work?
no, I haven't ridden a horse in a long time.
You want one?
No.
Are you selling horses,
I
Josh?
know one. I know where to get one.
Some free horses to a good home.
Yeah. You know, a mule is the only thing you can kill all of them and they're still not extinct.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
because-
Oh,
It takes
that
a
makes
horse
sense.
and a pony to make a mule.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Deep thoughts.
Deep thoughts. So what got you into, 10 years ago, you decided to open up Hangar 18. What was going on in your life at the time? What was the catalyst? Do you know what? I'm going to open up a hobby shop.
Well, I was working for a civil engineering company for about 10 years before that. And the recession hit, all the
Housing market crisis, all that stuff.
Commercial and housing, both. And it was a mess. There was no work to be had. And I was in the mood to do something different anyway.
Yeah.
All the local hobby stores that we had pretty much failed during that recession. So there wasn't anything. So we were the first to open a new hobby store, and the area needs that. Particularly when people are, we found out when people are out of work, they have more time to do their hobbies. They tend to concentrate more on their hobbies because it gets your mind off the fact that you're out of work. So a lot of folks came in to build models and do rockets and that sort of helped as well. But
yeah.
Have you ever thought about adding cigarettes and liquor to your inventory just to totally recession proof yourself? One-stop shop, everyone.
Yeah. It's got a humidor in the back. You just
different kind of hobby for not the hobby for what we're trying to do.
No, I get it.
So did you put together a lot of models? I mean, you're an engineering background as a kid. Was that a big hobby of yours?
Oh yeah. And, ever since I was a child, I was building models, started building models with my dad and then moved on to doing my own. And, that's always been a part of it. And then we do everything that we sell. We fly the planes, fly the helicopters and drones. We drive the cars. I've driven every car in that store.
Yeah.
So when people come in, we can tell them, hey, this is what to expect from experience,
right?
Not from reading about it. And then anybody can read about it, but somebody wants to have, if somebody comes in and has real questions, and we can help them with that.
Yeah.
We've played all the games in there, built the models, things like that. So, yeah.
So you mentioned early, you mentioned that you were doing models with your dad. When did it go from doing models with your dad to doing models on your own?
I don't know. I was probably 6 or 7 the first time I built my first model.
Yeah.
And I remember it. I used too much glue and it melted the plastic. I remember it clearly. The whole front end of I was building a B-17 bomber and the whole nose of it collapsed because I put too much glue on it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was bad.
I noticed on your website and on your Facebook account, and I think I get a sense of this just from talking to you for the last couple of minutes, that you guys are community minded.
Yes.
So you mentioned you treat everybody that comes in like family. And I noticed that there's a lot of things that you do, like classes or things that might remind you like a STEM program or selling at discounted rates to schools or et cetera, people wanting to do stuff. What are some of the funnest classes for you to host in your shop?
We do usually a lot of times this is just on a one-on-one basis, but we'll do painting classes where we teach people how to paint the models, paint the figures that they get, or just get better at it. Some people have a rudimentary skill that they want to get better with it, and we can help them with that. But we also do we sponsor a drone racer. And for race team,
Yeah.
And
all right, I think you got to explain this a little bit because
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people know what drone racing is, but it's
Okay.
crazy cool.
Yeah.
yeah, actually, one of our pilots, the first pilot that we had, he came in looking for a DJI, thinking that he wanted to have a film platform, and but he really wasn't sure. He really wasn't sold on the idea. And the film platforms are fun if that's what you want to do, but they do pretty much, as you said, they pretty much fly themselves now.
Yeah.
And if you're not going to be filming a lot, like Josh films a whole lot. So that's good for him. But if you wanted something more exciting, the drone racing is the way to go. You wear goggles or you have a screen that you see through the camera what the drone sees, but the drone is smaller, much more maneuverable, much more agile, much higher speeds.
Yeah, it's like a real world racing game. Like you would play on Xbox or any kind of gaming system. And so people wear like they put their phone like in the thing so that they see the screen right in front of them, that kind of stuff.
Well, actually, so we don't use a phone because there's too much latency in the signal. You
Gotcha.
would want to have an actual goggle set, which runs on a 5.8 gigahertz video signal or a 2.4 video signal, depending on what you're doing. There's very little latency in that signal. So that means when you see something and you fly around it, that's as close to real time as possible. With the phone, you're looking at a split second in the past. So by the time you see that tree, you might have already run into it.
So tell me a little bit, or tell the listeners a little bit what like the courses look like. They set up like rings and stuff for the drones to fly through, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. We have gates. We have gate systems we set up. The gates are, sometimes pretty complex. They'll be stacked on each other. We call that a gravity gate, where you have to go up and drop through it and come out, or fly underneath it and come out the top. And then you have your typical ring type gates, flags to fly around, and you have to, you're racing the course. You're not racing other people necessarily. You're trying to get the best time on the course.
Yeah.
So, and then whoever ends up with the best time advances to the next round or wins the race. And they take that all the way to the nationals where they compete for some pretty large money prizes.
Yeah. And you guys said you're a sponsor of a pilot. What does that look like?
So yeah, he's, when he comes in, we make sure that his aircraft are tuned up and, running properly. We supply him with props and batteries and cameras. The cameras break a lot. So actually everything on it breaks a lot. If you hit something, they're doing about 100 miles an hour. So, when you hit something, things tend to fall apart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a lot of stuff survives 100-mile-an-hour impact.
Yeah.
Very efficiently.
Yeah.
Especially since I assume you want to build them light, and so they're probably not made out of stainless steel.
No. There's the frames are entirely carbon fiber, pretty much aluminum standoffs and carbon fiber frames. They're very lightweight.
Yeah.
And they're make a pretty distinct sound when they're flying too.
You guys also do tabletop games there, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, we do. The whole purpose of the store is to get people maybe off of the console games and the computer games and interacting with people, either outside with the RC, with the remote control stuff, you're outside with other people. That's RC things are great to do by yourself, but it is a social hobby. It's more fun to do with other people. The tabletop games, you're playing a game across from somebody, or multiple people. Some of the games are, support a lot of folks. And then we also have model clubs that meet, for people that want to build plastic models. We have the first club that we had was Model Works. It's, the club was a reaction to the IPMS group, which IPMS is a national group that does, they concentrate mostly on military and cars and models like that. But there's a lot of other models, sci-fi, figure models, things like that. And that's where Model Works stepped in. They have a club that addresses the other side of the models. And then we have another group that was born out of that is completely Gundams. And if you don't know what Gundams are, they're Japanese piloted robot models. They
like supermodels, like
no, like
chicks?
model kits. Like think of a giant robot. If you ever saw Pacific Rim or you're familiar with Pacific Rim, a Gundam is very much like one of those. Those are kind of the whole idea of Pacific Rim kind of came from Japanese culture, and which is where the Gundams are born. That group is huge. They are. They meet every week and they sit down at the tables. Very interactive group, fun group to be around.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm sensing a community theme, like it's better together. So you guys have kind of done what my wife was talking to me recently about how we were just on the topic of, I think it was because we were walking through a mall and a lot of stuff was shutting down. And it's like the only people that are surviving nowadays are figuring out how to focus on the experiential side of it. And that's what her point was, like, because oftentimes we'll go into a store that's just like a regular store, buy stuff off the shelf, and it's not meant to be experiential. So what do? We go in, we find the thing we want, look at it, hold it in our hands, buy it on Amazon because it's 20% cheaper and it'll be there in 2 days.
Right.
Free shipping.
Right.
And I feel like the stores that are so appealing to the ones for my wife and I specifically, and I think to a lot of people, are the ones that kind of embrace that mentality of they want to be your third place, like a Starbucks. They want the place that you go hang out and do your meeting to be there. And also they sell coffee. And it sounds like that might be a big key to your guys' success, is like, this is the place for community. And by the way, we have community around this. And this is what we do together. But that's pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it brings a lot of folks. The really neat thing about the Gundam Club in particular is that there's a huge community that does it that doesn't know that other people in the area do it. So when we came up with this club, it was a way to introduce these people to each other. And it's formed a lot of friendships. It's made a lot of people aware that their hobby is huge, that it's everywhere. And that was really interesting to me to see a lot of these guys come in that had no idea that anybody else even knew what this was. And then all of a sudden these guys are meeting, and we run contests, and we do all kinds of seminars for building and painting them. And they're very involved with it. Yeah.
Have you always had like a solid set of hobbies, Josh? I can't tell you how many times I've had a conversation with my wife that sounds like we need a hobby.
Yeah.
Like, what else are we going to do? We've done the thing so many times where we're just going to, eat dinner, watch some TV, go to bed. Like, we need some hobbies.
Right.
Do you have a good set of hobbies that you felt like has always been steady in your life?
The one staple hobby I've always had is I've gotten on a bicycle and gone out for a ride to explore wherever I am, if it's New York or here in Cary, or just getting out and riding. And that's a way to build community because I meet people on my bicycle. I mean, without that, I might not have met Bryan so definitely.
And that's where you find like the kindred spirits. And I think that's such a huge thing today. People are looking for a tribe, they're looking for a place to hang out and identify. And I think, well, let me ask you this. Like, what could I, as a guy who lives in your city, come into your store with $100 or less that you would recommend for me to buy that you think would change my life?
Well, it depends on what you're interested in. I mean, you could
I'm a nerd. I'm interested in a lot of nerdy stuff.
That's kind of the whole store is sort of nerdy stuff. And that's what makes it so much fun. If you were looking to do something, let's say you have, you want to do something just for yourself. If you're interested in model building, that's very easy to get into for much less than $100.
Let me change the question. So my youngest daughter, she is very crafty, and she has for years been creating her own vending machines. She'll build vending machines from scratch, cutting up cardboard, gluing it together, and doing like coin rejection slots and learning how all that stuff works. And she's fueling her knowledge with YouTube. But she's been building these jokers for years, and they get more and more elaborate. Like she built one with like a see-through case one time, and she's always asking me if we can build one out of wood, but I just packed up my workshop. So she loves building stuff. I think she likes putting stuff together. What would you recommend for somebody like that?
Try the Gundam models. Yeah.
They're pretty complex.
They are, we call, one of the guys just recently joked that they were adult Legos. Yeah, because they don't require any gluing to go together. They're very, very well engineered. Lots of small parts. And when you're done, they're completely posable. They're everything moves on them.
Yeah.
for somebody that likes to do stuff with their hands, I would probably recommend something like that.
Do you guys have anything inside of the Marvel universe?
They do. There are models that are some of the sci-fi and figure type models. They do like Iron Man suits and Captain America is one of them.
All right, you convinced me. I'm taking my daughter and we're going to head over there soon.
Yeah.
Let me know when you go. Let's go Monday.
They also make the Transformers.
Oh, yeah.
Bandai does all the Transformers.
Okay.
They just came out with Bumblebee. That's been a pretty popular one, as you can imagine, because the movie just came out too. So they, if she likes that kind of thing, these models would be great.
Yeah. That's awesome, man.
It'd be cool if they had a vending machine transformer.
Right.
It transforms into a vending machine.
Yeah.
It's like the worst transformer. He's like a little crappy little side guy off to the, like they never really cut to him, but every once in a while they're like, oh, we need to hide. And then he turns into a vending machine.
He loses a part every time he gives away something inside of him.
He's just slowly dying. He's got a terrible character arc. Yeah.
Yeah, you actually have space in your shop, but you're moving. You're in the process of the transition.
Right,
You're increasing your space. So what are you going to do to welcome, and you're going to have tables again?
Well, yes. That's part of the move was we needed more table space because the groups that meet have gotten so big that they sort of forced the move.
Yeah.
They're looking to add more members. More people are becoming interested in joining these groups. So we needed more space for that. We needed more space for our gaming community as well, which is growing. And the more space we have, the more people we can bring in, which indirectly brings in more sales.
So one of the big attractions for me to your shop, as it has been for 10 years, is the storefront and seeing the RC, the cars, the jets, the World War II stuff, the all that stuff in the window is just like that.
It's very Norman Rockwell, like Americana. It's hard not to want to pop into that when you see that in a storefront somewhere.
Yeah.
Or drag your kids in if they're not interested. You're like, no, we're going in.
Yeah. So what are you going to have any sort of glass front? Storefront? Okay.
Yes,
okay.
it'll be twice the glass frontage, and we're going to decorate that even more than we have now. So it'll a lot of the displays that we have in the back of the store will now be visible right through the windows.
Those displays. Those are cool displays.
Yeah.
So how many people do you have on staff?
Oh, it's just myself and a couple of part-timers, really. About 3 part-timers. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Small staff.
I bet having been in business in the area for a long time, well, first, let me ask you this question. What have you found to be beneficial as a business owner? Like, have there been any kind of things that you would recommend right away to somebody? Like, you got to join this group or you need to do these things. What are some of the pro tips from being in business for a long time in Cary that you could give people?
Well, being in the, being involved with the community would be one of the biggest ones.
Right. What have you found to be some of the most successful ways you felt like, man, I did it. We were really involved in the community today. What does that look like?
Well, all of the groups that get people into the store, it's always fun when you are at the front of the store and you look in the back and you see you've got, a full shop and everybody's enjoying it. They're having fun. They're either, whatever they're doing back there. That's always fun. Yeah. Playing games, meeting, building models. That's always a good sense of satisfaction there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, if you're going to do this, you're going to get into your own business, be prepared to give up your personal life. It's, you get a lot. There's certainly advantages to being your own boss. But then there's a lot of disadvantages as well. I mean,
no privacy, people always asking for your autograph. It's like,
yeah, no, it's,
I like that you opened this door because I think a lot of people BS about, like we talked about it before, like we kind of curate our lives on social media and only share the best stuff. I find I go to a lot of networking things and you're getting like the curated version. Like, how was your day? Oh, great. Nailed it. Did this. And you're like, so I've been open now for like 8 months doing my own thing. It hasn't been like mostly awesome. It's been what you would expect to be growing a business. It's been mostly struggle. It's been mostly pushing a boulder up the hill. Like, what's that guy's name? Sisyphus?
Yeah.
That's like the Herculean kind of struggle to build a book of business and get your name out there and do a good job supporting your clients so that they'll be word of mouth. And it just takes time.
Right.
And I'm glad that you kind of brought that up because I think a lot of people think, wrongly. Like, oh, I don't like my job, so I'm just going to do this much better version of a thing, which hasn't been my experience and doesn't seem to match what most honest people that I talk to. I love the definition somebody gave a couple episodes back of an entrepreneur, like the person who is willing to work twice as hard for half the money.
Sure. Yeah, that's, I mean, that is very true. You when you work for somebody else, you get used to getting that paycheck on a regular basis. Now you're working for it, and you think about it a lot more. What happens, and you also tend to think about the extended things, like, well, what happens if we go into another recession? You pay very close attention to the economy and what it's doing. So,
yeah, which this week hasn't been great for.
Hasn't been great, no. But in the situation, the tariff situation, how is that going to impact us? Because honestly, well over half of that store is made in China. It's just where a lot of those products are manufactured. So of course you pay very close attention to what's happening with that.
Right.
There's plenty of arguments on both sides, for and against it, but we have to look at it and see, well, how is this going to impact us? And, a raise in prices, does that mean things aren't going to sell as well? That kind of thing. So, yeah. Yeah.
So over the last 10 years or so, have you noticed, or what are some of the worst recommendations that you've seen small business owners give to each other? Like, oh, you should do this. Don't do that.
Well, I really haven't been exposed to too much of that, just because we are sort of unique in our community.
Yeah.
But I would say one of the things that you don't think about so much when you work for somebody else, but impacts you a lot when you have your own business, is certainly the reviews. They, a lot of folks will come in the store because we have, good reviews, and we, of course, any bad review, it's my store. So of course I'm going to take that personally. Like, what did I do wrong? What could be done better? Was this an honest review? Was it, that kind of thing. So, I
was talking to a business owner the other day, because I do like websites and that kind of stuff for people in my company. And he was half joking, half not joking about like this very thin thread of people that exists. But have you ever just met like a miserable human and everything's not great? Like, there are people that leave reviews because that's the way they are. Like, they don't like anything. And so he was like, if there was just a service where you could just link to all their other reviews so people could see that they've one-starred everything, and then they can take it with a grain of salt that they hated your store because they hated, Harry Potter.
They just hated
everything. They hated like the top-rated stuff. They're like, it's the worst. I just can't handle it. But there's a collection of that exists.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a small percentage, but.
Yeah.
How do you guys handle bad reviews?
Obviously you can't please everybody all the time. So, and you have to take each one on a case by case basis. Like, what happened here? Was this somebody that didn't feel that they got enough, personal time? Did they not get addressed in the store? The way that they thought they should have.
Right.
Sometimes we can get so busy that it's hard to greet everybody that comes through, even though we try.
Right.
We try to at least say hi to everybody, but some days you just get wiped out.
Right. You just fall short of your standards. That's what happens. I think that's the majority behind every bad review. Like, when a company just falls short of their standards, because people have days, stuff comes up, we get busy, we don't represent ourselves the way we want to. I think most companies know, like, this is how I want to treat the customers. And then when you see that review, I think that's why it's so hurtful, because they're like, that doesn't represent me at all. Like, I didn't want that to happen. I have all this stuff set up to do it, but
and you have to leave your, you could have a bad day. I mean, you could wake up in the morning in a bad mood or whatever, but you have to leave that when you go through your store. That has to stay outside, because somebody coming in isn't going to understand or really even care that you've had a really bad day. If you're grumpy and angry and whatever, they're just going to say, oh, this guy, he was being a jerk to me, so we're going to leave a bad review. So
your customer deserves the best, regardless of the day you're having.
Right. So no matter what mood you're in, when they come in, you just smile and see if you can help them out.
So we've talked a lot about community. What is one of the most valuable investments into the community that you think you've made?
Well, I think getting people together was probably one of the biggest ones, and again, with the groups that help people find like-minded individuals, this is, and not just with the model building, but the gaming groups and even the RC groups. There's people that have wanted to get into flying planes that didn't know where to go, wouldn't know where to start. And we've helped those people find the local flying fields and the people that are flying that can help them be successful and fly the plane that they want to fly. So that's probably one of the most successful parts.
Yeah, you're helping build community.
Yes. Yeah.
You're giving wings to people's desires.
Right. Yeah.
I think we just wrote a jingle. Like we just put that with some music.
Yeah.
Right.
Hangar 18.
Hangar 18. We know how to fly.
Yeah.
Building wings. Yeah. The wind beneath my wings. Set to that song. Yeah. Wings of Desire. We'll work on that for you.
Yeah.
Well, do you find that, what is your clientele base like? Do you find that, I got a question. This is what I was thinking the whole time. I'm having a hard time wording it. I bet there's a lot of people in the triangle in our community that are looking for a hobby that have no idea that they will love this as a hobby. So how do you help those people understand? Did you just got to come in the store and see if this is something that lights up your pleasure centers?
Think about a lot. So we have a wide dichotomy of people that come through, all ages, all backgrounds. It's amazing to see this melting pot of people that come through. A lot of the adults come in and they're looking for something that either reminds them of their childhood or something they wanted to do as a child. If you never grow up, you'll stay young forever. Right.
Yeah.
So, we provide a chance for people to come in and relive their childhood. A lot of the adults want their kids to do something that they did, build a car kit, build an RC car, build a model kit, something like that they did as a child. They want their children to get into that. And then we also have a lot of folks, a lot of adults that come in that are looking to do something with their children as, as a way to build relationships with their children, to spend some time with them. So we have like the model rocketry that the kids can go out and do as a family. That's always a lot of fun.
Oh, model rocketry. I love that. You have a whole wall dedicated to rockets.
Yes. Yeah. We have a lot of the engines, the rocket kits, the launch pads and hand launchers and everything. Yeah.
I think that as humans, we're wired to enjoy building stuff. And when I think back to being a kid, you were talking about fun stories being a kid. Most of the fun stories that come to my mind right away are when we built something crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That took time. We invested into it. And we built something.
It builds imagination. It helps to spark creativity when you start building things. It alters the way you think about the world when you build a lot of stuff.
We tried to build our own rockets, but we didn't have a kit. And so I grew up close to a reservoir, and we had a group of buddies, neighborhood buddies, right? We'd ride bikes to everybody's house, and we rode bikes to this kid's house named Damien. And his dad was a smart guy, a professor, a teacher, always tinkering with stuff in the garage. And I think he was the one that kind of fed Damien these cool ideas of stuff we could build. So we decided we're going to try to launch a tennis ball across the reservoir. This was the goal. The reservoir was about a half mile across. And so with the help of Damien's dad, we purchased some dry ice, some 2 liters, and we set out in the process of doing some experiments to if we bury a piece of PVC pipe in the ground and then put some dry ice in a 2 liter filled with water, screw the cap on and put the tennis ball on the top that's the fuel, and it's going to shoot it like a cannonball. And we spent days and days just blowing up. And then we'd get good at what happens when it doesn't explode and you don't want to get next to it. Who's going to shoot it with the BB gun, to let the air. Dangerous stuff. One kid got pretty hurt. Big chunk of his thumb got blown off.
Oh, wow.
But, good safe stuff that you do when you're kids.
Right.
But, man, it's just a fantastic way to spend your time with a group of friends trying to figure something out and do something a little crazy, a little bit different than what other people are doing. And it's good memories, man.
Yeah, I'm surprised I've made it through life with all 10 digits.
Your fingers.
Yeah, fingers, toes, both eyes. Yeah. We did, growing up, when I was the age most of the kids are now, we didn't have console games or anything like that. So we would go out and blow up pretty much everything.
That's like a boy thing, right? Yeah, you got to blow up stuff.
Go out and, we'd have firecrackers and we'd take them apart and take all the black powder and take the parachute out of the rocket and replace it with black powder. And then when the rocket got up to altitude, it would explode dramatically. And yeah.
Now that my kids are getting to the age, like I don't really want them to hear some of this, but we would do the dumbest stuff.
Yeah.
Like we would have firecracker fights. Like where you just get good at like lighting the black cat and timing it and trying to hit somebody with it so that it would like pop on their back or their leg.
I had a buddy, we used to shoot each other with the BB gun.
Oh yeah, we did.
We did that.
We're running. Yeah.
Classic way to spend your time.
Yeah.
People say the video games are bad, but I mean, if you they protect us from.
Way more violent.
I did way worse. We didn't throw the firecrackers. We would shoot bottle rockets at the end of a wiffle ball bat at each other.
Oh, wow.
Or run around with Roman candles.
Bottle rocket fights for sure.
Yeah.
A very common thing where I grew up.
Remove the end of the wiffle ball bat and then stuff it in.
Well, you didn't have to. No,
anyway.
it's got the wiffle ball bat has a little hole in the end.
Oh,
so that hole's big enough to put the stick of a bottle rocket
guys.
in.
We invented a terrible game. I'm sure we're not the only ones that came up with it, but we would light the bottle rockets and chuck them in the air so we wouldn't know their trajectory when they finally kicked on which way they would go. It was, I don't know what a good name for it would be. Run for your life, maybe. Bad idea.
Bottle rocket roulette.
Oh, man.
Yeah. And the Roman candle fights were great. You light a Roman candle and just chase people shooting these things.
So where does the name come from? Hangar 18 Hobbies.
It's when I was originally looking to start this store, I was going to partner with somebody, and the idea was we were going to do an Area 51 Hobbies, but
that's edgy right now.
Yeah, I know, right? So everybody would try to and invade the store. But I had a website that was Hangar 18 Hobbies that I was selling some stuff on. And then since I already had that domain, when the partnership didn't work, it fell through. I just moved on with what I already had.
But Hangar 18 is a name that has significance, right?
Well, yeah, if you're into the ufology kind of stuff, Hangar 18 is it's in Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Supposedly it's where the UFO is really kept. That Area 51 is just a, smoke and mirrors kind of thing. So if the group that's, trying to organize themselves to go over there, maybe they can verify that for us.
Yeah.
But yeah, group, if you're listening, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, Hangar 18, that's where you want to go.
Oh, they're listening.
They're the majority of our audience, the people getting ready to storm Area 51.
Right.
We love you guys.
Good luck. So, but yeah, there's that. And then a lot of folks ask me if I'm a Megadeth fan because they had a song called Hangar 18. And yes, I am a Megadeth fan. I do. But that is not actually where the name came from.
I would have thought it had something to do with hanging out because that seems like it's a big part of what.
Yeah.
I missed that one completely.
Different kind of hanger. Yeah.
That's cool.
All right. So now that we've been talking for a little while here, I'm just a little honest question here for you. On a scale of 1 to 10, how weird do you think you are?
Oh, I'm out there. I'm eccentric. Yeah, I will.
Do you think it takes a level of eccentricity to run like a fun kind of store like you do?
Yeah, probably a lot of, there's got to be a certain level of crazy there. Yeah.
Like are you like a Willy Wonka kind of crazy?
Yeah, but there's a dark side to Willy Wonka though.
That's what I meant. It's like I'm going to trap children.
Right. Yeah. Really dark side to that. I don't know if I'm quite that far yet.
You still have some room to go.
Yeah, exactly. There's still plenty of time though.
Yeah. It's no hurry.
Yeah. Crazy sort of evolves the longer you stay at.
Yeah. So, the more your store changes locations too, I hear.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, here's a question for you. Like if you could wave a magic wand and Hangar 18 Hobbies when you move into the new place, it could be everything that you're wanting the new place to be in 2 years from now. What would that look like?
it would be nice to have enough land to do an RC flying field and a track. People of all ages love to do those kind of things. And unfortunately, land values being what they are inside the Beltline, you can't afford to have a track or a flying field, really. So most of the flying fields and the really decent RC car tracks are a good hour drive from here, or at least 30 minutes. I mean, there's one at Suggs Farm, the Skyhawks RC. That's my buddy, Doug Leroy. He started an RC club out there, and that one's pretty close by for flying planes. It's about a 20-minute drive from Cary. But other than that, the really big fields where you can fly gas planes and real turbine jets and stuff like that, you're going to be driving a good hour to get to them. Yeah. So it'd be nice to have something closer. Yeah. Some of the cities like Winston-Salem has a city sponsored park, which is very successful for them, but not every city wants to be bold and try that out. They'd rather do something else with it.
Is there, like at a flying park, are there FCC regulations, and like with drones, you can't be within certain 5 miles of an airport, that kind of stuff?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there's for flying, there's the Aeronautical Modelers Association, the AMA. We recommend everybody that's interested in flying become a member of the AMA, because for one, they're our lobby, they're our voice to the government to keep the hobby alive. But we do have to abide by a lot of rules. We have to make sure that we're not flying too close to an airport. We have to make sure that we're not flying too high or beyond visual sight where we couldn't see the plane anymore, that kind of thing.
Right.
So, yeah, they're definitely, the FAA dictates a lot of rules that go for that hobby. The FCC would handle more towards the radio side. The transmitters cannot be a certain frequency because that could cause problems.
Yeah. I remember a couple of years ago, I was working on a film team with a guy, and he went out to get some drone footage for some B-roll for a video that we were doing. And a couple of days later, the sheriff department showed up at his house because somebody had got his license plate, and they had known that he was flying a drone, and they wanted to know what he was doing because we needed B-roll of the courthouse. And so that was like the thing that triggered it to somebody is, that's weird. Why is that guy doing that? Yeah. Ultimately, he didn't get in trouble, but there are... And we knew that there are rules that you need to pay attention to. There's an app that like helps you understand where you can and cannot fly based on, and you're supposed to check that stuff and be aware of that stuff, because the first person to screw it up might ruin it for everybody. Yeah. So yeah, absolutely. You should pay attention to the rules if this is your hobby, because you don't want to be able to lose your hobby for overzealous, regulation because somebody wasn't following the rules. Right.
It just takes one person to do something really stupid, because they at the moment thought, wow, wouldn't this be neat? But it's not a smart idea, like flying over an airport and watching the airplanes land.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Just don't do that.
Just buy a ticket, get on the airplane, and point your camera out the window like everybody else does on vacation.
Yeah. 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 But, a lot of the drones now, going back to the drones, because people have done things like that. They have flown around airports or over airports to watch airplanes come in and land. And so now the drones won't arm themselves within a certain distance of them. Yeah. So the drones have gotten a lot smarter as far as doing that, but people can still override that.
Yeah. I assume you can probably jailbreak it like you can a phone.
Pretty much. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Or just build your own. So,
yeah.
I was thinking about using my drone to get some supplies to my buddy who's in jail. Is that okay?
Fly a cake. Definitely not. Inside of the cake is a file.
Yeah. Dropping a carton of cigarettes in the yard really frowned upon. They really don't want you to do that at all.
No cartons, just individual packs.
Right.
Just individual cigarettes. It's appropriate.
Ideal.
Yeah.
Okay, that's funny. All right, so if you thought, go with me on this one. You got a DeLorean with a flux capacitor. You could borrow that for a day. You go back and you can travel back to the day that 10 years ago when you decided, I'm done being an engineer. I'm opening up a hobby shop. And you have the benefit or the foresight of what you've learned over the last 10 years of business. What would you want to tell 10 year ago you?
Oh my. I mean, certainly you would use it to fix the mistakes, any of the mistakes that were made along the way. You'd want to say, okay, don't do these things again. Always make sure that you pay very close attention to what the person that you're talking to is wanting. Listen to what they have to say for sure.
What about the logic though that mistakes define us? What if you didn't have any mistakes?
Well, and that's fair too. I mean, those are learning experiences. If you don't learn from them, then, you deserve what happens. So yeah, that they are certainly learning experiences that you move on from.
Well,
yeah.
Who doesn't want to protect yourself from pain?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I think I would probably tell myself maybe take a little bit more vacation time.
Yeah.
Yeah. The store's mine. It's my baby. So I feel strange away from it.
Mm-hmm.
My wife would leave me if I never went on a vacation with her. So, she needs time too. So, we would, I would probably say that, take a little bit more personal time. Don't be afraid to leave the store in the hands of people that are there to help you.
Right. So you quit the engineering job, and there were probably things about that job that felt like a job. There were probably things about that job you loved. Was there a honeymoon period when you opened up your business before it started to feel like work again?
Oh, no, not really. Actually, there are days that you could do without.
Yeah.
There's always going to be some days that you just wish didn't happen. But overall, when I wake up, it still doesn't quite feel like work, even though it really is. It's a lot of hard work, but it just doesn't feel the same. It's different.
What do you think that is? Do you think that's because you're passionate about it? So I think that's a big deal. Like when it doesn't feel like work if you want to do it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I have a store full of toys. How bad is my life right now? I walk into a store and look at toys all day. And, if I get a wild itch, I can just open one up. And of course I have to pay for that. But,
do not inventory. This one's on sale.
Right. There's so many things to do in there. It's amazing. Yeah. It's so much fun to just be around all of that and learn from the other folks that enjoy it as well. So, and I've made a lot of friends, just being there, in 10 years, most of the people that I hang out with now are people that I met within that 10-year span of opening the store.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I met a lot of great people. I mean, Josh we got along from the first day, and he's just been a great guy. So yeah, we've met a lot of really nice people. It's a great bunch of guys. So, yeah.
So I like that when you were considering moving your store, you kept it in Cary. So you're pretty close. You live close by to your store?
I do. I live rather close by. But
so you grew up here. You opened up a storefront here.
Yeah.
And you just kind of hang out.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's hardcore Cary right there.
Yeah. Loving it. Are you excited about the Shake Shack that's opening away from the place? Or have you ever had a Shake Shack burger?
I have not had a Shake Shack burger, so that will be a new experience for me.
Yeah. You've probably seen a lot of changes in Cary since you've been here.
Oh yeah. Cary touches Chatham County now. Oh my God, that's huge.
It's
we like to annex in our city. We're like,
and
like this is Cary now.
Yeah. It never ceases to surprise me how large Cary is, considering growing up here, how small that it was.
So I haven't grown up here, and I've been here for about 10 years now, but occasionally I'll drive and I'll put an address in my phone because, nobody has to learn anything now that we got GPS. And I'll be like, oh, Cary, not that far, 28 minutes. And I'm driving for forever. And I'm like, I'm still in Cary. I feel like I drove through Morrisville 3 times and I'm still in Cary.
Yeah.
So your store is very close to the Trader Joe's. And many of us, or many listeners may not know that that's the first Trader Joe's in North Carolina.
Yeah, that's right.
And in the back, toward the bathroom and the water fountains, they have this memorabilia on the wall, which is very interesting.
Yeah.
So we claim that we are the first Trader Joe's in North Carolina. Yeah.
Well, man, that's awesome. What can we do to help promote Hangar 18?
Just tell everybody, if they're looking for a hobby, come and visit, and we'll gladly help them choose their path.
Recession's coming. Prepare now for your hobby.
I think too, man, there are so many people that are looking for hobbies, and it's a good thing. Like having a hobby, finding a tribe, building community.
It's healthy.
It's healthy.
Yeah.
It's a healthy thing. And I don't know why we wait until something bad happens in our life to do that, but it seems to be human nature. Lose a job, find ourselves with more free time, etc.
Yeah.
But it is a very healthy thing. If you're feeling overwhelmed and stressed out, we talk a lot about business and growing your business here. If you're not doing enough to balance stuff out, like a hobby could be the answer.
Yeah, I have
Absolutely.
to say, it's a big theme in my life right now. Is I'm just beginning to understand how important it is to work margin into my schedule, and margin means taking time to smell the flowers, right?
Right.
And a hobby is a thing to do to smell the flowers.
And you got to invest in it too. Like our last episode, I wanted to touch on this. David Morgan asked us how we were doing with running, because we were mentioning training for a marathon.
Yeah.
So I ran 3 times this week. Like I'm back on the horse. I needed that accountability. And I brought up then, and I thought about it. This is such a good point. Like we didn't sign up for a marathon and give money to a company to train for the thing.
Right.
So that's like the story of so many things in my life. Like I should do that. And willpower only gets you so far. But if you commit to something and you have people that you're doing it with. And so I wonder how many people might be listening and they know they need a hobby. They know they need to build in some margin for recreation and for finding community and finding like-minded people that they can share fun with.
Yeah.
This might be what you need to do.
A good opportunity.
Just head on over to Hangar 18.
When I say it's healthy, it is, having a hobby is known to reduce your stress levels, reduce your blood pressure, it's doing the RC planes, the RC cars get you outside, doing the models gets you focused on something that's going to take you away from the problems you have in the real world. So,
just don't spend the money on your heart pressure medication and just go get into drone racing. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast with us, Bryan.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Good times.
I want to encourage anybody in the area to go check out your local hobby shop. If you happen to live in Cary, go check out Hangar 18 Hobbies.
New location coming soon to
112 Kilmaine. We'll be in the Kilmaine Plaza where the Big Lots is. We're going to be in the about halfway on the strip next to the Big Lots.
That's awesome, man. Excited for you.
Come see it. Christmas is coming, people.
We love making this stuff for you. You can help us out by subscribing wherever you get your podcasts. Get unstuck, tell a better story, and have a good answer to the question, what are you doing today?